just got something for the Puch build right now. This has been over 2 months in waiting. Oh man. Oh, no way. This looks sick. We got a 90 mil custom made exhaust for our Puch E50 build. You see right here, it's done by good old crank pipes. We got the shorty silencer too, just to make sure it doesn't stick off the bike too far, because we're gonna be doing wheelies and we don't want it hanging past the rear tire. Oh yeah, we're in there. There's a slanted port cylinder and I guess there's a flat port cylinder, so looks like we're in there. And as you can see, he threw in a little velocity stack for me for my Delorado carb. It's like a 3D printed little velocity stack for the carburetor. That's pretty rad. With that being said, it's time to finalize this motor and get this thing mounted on the bike so we can throw everything together. Had the clutch soaking for over a day now. I'm gonna go ahead and set it in there. Now, I'm a little bit skeptical on if everything's gonna work out smoothly for the kickstart. I got an engagement washer, I guess you'd say, that's gonna go on the clutch side right there. And then we got a nut, which looks like that's gonna fall through. So we definitely need a washer of some sort also. Very skeptical it's gonna work because I've seen people where they keep the stock clutch basket and they run an aftermarket clutch and then they run this plastic washer or adapter and then the kickstart and everything. I haven't seen anybody do it the way I'm doing it, which I slowly started to realize. This clutch basket sits very low in there, right? Man, I hope this works. I don't know how. I feel like this isn't gonna shoot out far enough to engage on here, and especially with this adapter plate. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna throw it together and I'm gonna figure this out once for all right now. I have strong doubts right now that this clutch and kickstart setup is gonna work. The only problem is once I put this clutch on, I don't know if we'll be able to take it off because I don't have a puller. So that's one variable to what's about to happen. Well, not looking bad right there. This is kind of what I'm worried about here. So I don't know if this is gonna work. Uh-oh. Don't think this is gonna work, boys. Guess that would work like that. Alright boys, it's been some solid time since we were able to work on the Puch due to some parts coming overseas that took a little bit over a month to show up. And messing with this kickstarter still, which has been part of the major issue as you last saw. I think I just kind of solved my mystery on my own, and I haven't seen anyone else do this. I've asked a few people and everybody's setup seemed to be a little different. Not sure why, but basically a few things I just did. So when this starter plate's all the way down, you can see that this part pokes out, but when it's all the way down it pokes out about 3 millimeters. So it was running into the case and it wasn't allowed to sit flush. So I had to come in here with the Dremel. I did it in a square form just to make sure, because the kickstarter, when it kind of got aligned, it was a real pain lining everything up. So played safe. I took a little bit extra out, but that's sitting in there. That thing will now sit in there. This part lays flat. But when I had everything on for the kickstarter as it should be, so supposedly the way that this is all supposed to go is Durlin spacer. The spring plate sits inside. This kickstarter gear sits inside the spring plate. And then this nut would hold everything down. But that right there, when that's in there, it's so deep and so long how it sticks out that it just runs right into everything. It runs into this side of the gear. This side completely rubs. Everything is rubbing. So I started to sand down the Durlin spacer, and I took a sander and I got rid of about 1 millimeter of it, and I was thinking sand it all down. But then I realized, regardless of how low I sand this thing, with the spring plate on, everything on, it's still had a few options. My options were to either keep grinding away at the Durlin spacer, make it as thin as a washer, then run this gear onto here. But then the gear is no longer recessed. As you see, it's way larger than that, and it has these flat edges on it, which are perfectly made to sit in the spring plate. But then I thought about it again, and I realized I don't really necessarily believe I need this Durlin spacer, because technically you're supposed to be running this plate, which is the kickstarter plate. It's solid steel, it doesn't have the friction plate, because I'm no longer going to have a clutch release to grab the clutch and spin it to start the bike. It's being spun by the crank using this gear. So my last option, I'm going to send it with using the friction plate so it grips a little bit better, because if I used steel on steel, I feel like once I kick it and get a little bit of a, you know, a lot of pressure on that kickstarter, it might slip on this steel plate. So I figured this would be the best option. Spring plate right against the friction plate. Run the kickstarter gear, which locks into here. Then I had to come in and cut about 4 millimeters off of this bolt, because the bolt was bottoming out to the actual clutch itself and it still had space. And then this bolt was running into this little middle part, because the kickstarter needs to come out like that. And this centerpiece was running into this before it could spring out. So I had to get the centerpiece down a little farther. I know this is very confusing. So I cut like 3.5 millimeters off this thing. Actually holds it in place. Everything's locked in. Does not stick out as far now. And I just tried, and I put this onto here, bolted in 3 bolts, and I tried it, and as sure as hell the starter engages. So let's see. Alright, I'll show you in a second the kickstarter is working, but to make it easier, let's mount this bad boy in the bike real quick. I slapped the ignition in, and I'm wiring everything up right now, so still got to set the points on the ignition. We're running stock ignition for now, but we will be doing an upgraded ignition very shortly. We'll probably upgrade the intake as well later on, but this is all we're running for now, and it's time to get the wiring done. So I ran everything, put the grommet in, I got all the wires on this side, got everything we need to connect over here. I need to reference my photos because I actually forgot like 99% of everything, how this bike is set up. So it's been too long, been messing with too many other projects, and that's just what happens, boys. Went ahead and I slapped the chain on. We got a brand new chain on there. Got the kickstand on, which I don't think is gonna work with our pipe. And then we have our new spark ignition over here in a bag. So we'll have to swap these little connectors onto here. We'll have a new coil wire thing, and oh, I actually forgot, we have a new petcock as well. So we'll slap a new petcock in there. Now our peg mount is definitely not gonna work with the way this Kickstarter is. So it's either get a different Kickstarter or get a different foot mount, but I think I'm gonna do a different foot mount since this one's a spinning foot mount anyways. I had an idea on how I was gonna make it not spin, but after looking at everything, I think I'm just gonna do different foot mounts, and that should resolve our issue with this, because as of right now, you couldn't put your foot on here without pushing the Kickstarter down, so you're gonna be catching your Kickstarter on the spinning crank. It's a no-go. Just looking over a diagram here, check my wiring. I think we're good. We're gonna see once we get this kind of figured all out with timing. That's the next move, and then we'll check everything for spark. Everything is such, and I think we're gonna get the first start today. But we have a few more things. So I never had to do timing like this on pretty much anything I built. Like everything has a fixed stator setup that I usually build. So first time messing with one of these, so I grabbed a feeler gauge and a micrometer so we can make sure we're sitting at exactly top dead center. Go through here, get all the points correctly. Got a few things. So we got this, which is supposed to be, I already have for the kickstand, but it's supposed to be a little spacer here. Now we'll be able to hopefully run our pipe and not have the kickstand hit our pipe using this little spacer here. And also had to get the different style peg mounts, and I have an angle part where it kicks your foot out so you can adjust exactly where you want your feet position. I'm probably gonna end up going forward, obviously, because the kickstart's back there. So that's all. What are you doing over here, doggy? What are you doing, sleeping? It's too hot out for him in the garage right now. Homie's passed out in front of the fan trying to get some air. I gotta give a shout out to Travis Tutorial and Cornped because I used their videos to really make sure I was doing this right. But I think I got it all figured out, boys. So what I did was I took our, well, I did a piston stop at first, but then I used this new micrometer we got it to top dead center. I marked when we were at top dead center on the cases. Then I went through, I set our points to a gap where when it's at full open here, we're at a 0.016 here on the feeler gauge. And with that being fully open, then I came in here looking at the flywheel, which way it rotates, and you want your points to open about 18 degrees before top dead center. So going in here, just going off what I could see with my eyes. It's hard for you guys to see, but basically right there's your points, and when that little thing starts to open, see where it opens right here? Right when it starts, I measured, and this is 360 degrees, and that's 18 degrees before it top dead center. It's in advance before top dead center, if that makes sense to you. But we're set. So tighten the stator down, set the feeler gauge, like I said, it's 0.4 millimeter mark on the actual points opening. Now we can go ahead, we can put our piston stop back in, tighten down the flywheel. Got to put a spark plug in, which I have here. We'll check spark first. I need to go get some gas for it. Most importantly, we got to throw in our pipe too. Can't forget that. Hold on. Let's get this thing on there. I think that everything lined up with it. I think the only issue was the kickstand hit on the bottom down here. I think it scratched it when I first put it on. So pipe is all on there, looking absolutely amazing. I changed the sticker that was on it from a red one to a gold one, just fit a little bit better. But got her all mounted up in there, got her in there with an exhaust gasket, and I went to kick over the bike and I was checking for spark. Got the plug out. Very hard to do here one-handed, but I was tripping and I'm like, dude, what is wrong? Double checked all the wiring, got the wiring diagram up over there, was losing my mind, and then I realized that the horn on these things are constant voltage going through the horn, and the only thing that stops the horn from actually beeping is the handle on the horn switch. This makes sense if you go back to my old video when I first got this bike started. The switch was bad on the actual handlebars, and the horn was constantly going when I had the bike running. That's because the way they designed this wire harness is the ground runs through and back through to the stator through the horn, which is nuts. And then the switch tees off up there, and all it does is kill power voltage through the horn through the one wire. So in fact, you cannot delete the horn and leave these unplugged. Basically, they need to be grounded. So I was able to stick them together ever so lightly for now, just as long as they're touching for right now, so I can show you guys. But now if you look, I think you saw it right there, there's spark now, boys. So this thing should fire up now. And I checked, and the kill switch does in fact work. So I'm gonna get those together, go get some gas, premix in here, and now this thing should fire up. I'm stoked because I was having a little panic attack here, losing my mind, going back and forth about these wiring diagrams, and found it online. So shout out this wiring diagram I found that literally explains it right here. That basically the bike runs through the ground wires through the horn. Very helpful right there, very, very helpful. But yeah, I'm gonna throw the plug in, and we should be able to try firing this thing up now, boys. Mix action going here, 32 to 1, since this is a big bore kit on this thing. We just put the gear oil in it that we needed. Pretty much everything is done except for the shocks being tightened, and foot pegs, stuff like that. But I just want to hear this thing fire up, so first time filling her with gas. Let's see what happens, boys. We cleaned the tank out like crazy too when we had it all apart. Alright. Choker. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Dude, I can't get the full kick with that thing in. We gotta take that. We gotta take that out. It's not gonna work. Keep hitting my fucking shin. I'm tired of hitting my shin on it, and I'm going to kick it. Dude, Kickstarter's not having it, bro. Not good, boys. My biggest fear. I had a feeling this kickstart was going to be an issue, but that's insane. It sounds like it's constantly rubbing in there. I don't know. It's not good, though. There it goes. Oh my god, I got it. Oh my god, I got it. That thing is so loud. Oh my god. that thing is so much louder than I thought it was going to be. Oh my god. I don't even think you can understand how loud this thing is. That thing is too damn loud right now. I don't even want to shut it off because I don't even know if I'll get it started again. Dude. I cannot believe how loud that thing is. Holy shit. Alright boys, I put the spacer on the back. You can see that tiny little spacer right there. It hits the kickstand a little early. The kickstand no longer hits the pipe over there. So, as you can see, got the space between there. Because before when I would let off the kickstand, it would just whack the pipe. So with that being said, boys, we might be able to give this thing its first little run. I'm not going to ride it too hard because we want to break in the cylinder, break in the whole motor actually, and I want to get a temp gauge before I get too ballsy with it because I can tell this thing's running really hot. I can just feel it. I can see the color changing in the pipe already, and I haven't even rode it. So we're not going to risk it too hard, boys. But we can't go without just feeling it a little bit right now. Well, it runs, but we definitely have a major issue with the clutch. No stall at all in it, and I have pretty strong stall springs in there, so it should have a really hard clutch engagement. But clutch is super soggy in there, so definitely something to figure out. But we did get it started, boys. We did get it started. So I think that's gonna wrap up what we can do for the Puch today, because I'm kinda just playing it safe and I don't want to ride it. Don't want to ride it right now without having a temp gauge. It's definitely getting very hot just for the little bit I did. And as you saw, there's a problem with the clutch. The clutch is just slipping way too much. The gearing felt a little bit weird. I took it down the street one time. In the high end, it started, when the clutch started engaging, it wanted to pull. It felt really high top gear. So I don't know. Maybe we messed up on the gearing a little bit for what I wanted for a wheelie bike, so we might have to change the gearing, but most importantly, we're gonna have to take a look at that clutch, because that clutch is just, that is not gonna happen like that. So this thing should be a lot of fun, and I'm stoked for what's to come for this thing. We got to finally hear the Puch run. There's a lot of people who were asking about this video, so I hope you guys are all stoked on this, and I can't wait to see what's next in this. Hopefully next time we'll get some riding in on this thing, and most importantly, some wheelies in on it. So that's gonna do it for this one. Make sure you guys leave a like, check out the description down below, cop some merch, support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.